Hello and welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Liz, Disability Policy for All. A few weeks ago, we did a series on healthcare reform, including Medicaid. Right now, this issue is a very important one for people with disability. So we're going to do another one, especially on how proposals to cut and Medicaid funding will impact people with disabilities. Today, it's my pleasure to interview Mara Youdelman. Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough.
The managing attorney and health law. She's going to help us understand these Medicaid proposals. So welcome, Marla.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Liz.
The first question is, what did the Republican policy brief say about Medicaid?
So yesterday, the House Republicans issued what they're calling a policy brief, and they set out their ideas for repealing the Affordable Care Act and also drastically transforming the Medicaid program. And what they said they want to do for Medicaid is they want to start capping the funding for the program, which means setting limits. And ultimately, they would like to cut the funding from Medicaid, which is such a lifeline for so many people in our country. They also would like to completely get rid of the Medicaid expansion, which was part of the Affordable Care Act, which would mean about 12 million people would likely lose their Medicaid coverage immediately.
That's very scary.
Yes, it is.
The next question is, what are per capita caps, and how is that different from Black grants?
Sure. So if I can take a step back first, Liz, and let's talk about how Medicaid is funded right now. Right now, Medicaid has a funding guarantee. For as many people who a state enrolls in Medicaid, the state can get federal funding to help pay for their costs. What the Republicans in Congress want to do is change that guarantee. And so instead, they've talked about two things. One is a block grant, and two is a per capita cap. So let's take them both in turn. But the reality is a cut is a cut is a cut. And whether it's called a block grant or whether it's called a per capita cap, the Republicans want to cut about $1 trillion out of the Medicaid program in 10 years. So what's a block grant? A block grant would mean the federal government says, okay, state X, we're going to give you this amount of money and that's it. And if you run out of money at the end of the year because you spend too much money on healthcare, you don't get a dime more from us. A per capita cap is slightly different. Instead of just being one pot of money for the entire state, they say we will give you a set amount per capita, per head, or per person for each person you enroll. So it gives the states a little bit more ability if they enroll more people because there's a recession or maybe a natural disaster. But overall, a per capita cap would still set the amount of money that the state gets and very much limit the funding that the states can get. So as our population is aging or as people with disabilities may need more care or there might be some medical advances that would really help people with disabilities, it would be a lot harder for the states to actually cover those services.
Thank you. Will the state governors like that plan?
Depends which state governors you're talking about. So there are some state governors who would like to have what they call more flexibility in the Medicaid program. And unfortunately, if you cut a lot of the money, even if you have all the flexibility in the world, you're not going to be able to do what you want to do. There are a number of governors who have said, well, we've already expanded Medicaid and we want to make sure we keep those people on our program. And under this policy brief, the Republicans wouldn't let the states keep those people on for very long. So it really depends on the state, and a lot of states are sort of similar to the Republicans and may not want to have robust Medicaid programs to take care of everyone who needs it, and so they see this as a way also to cut their state budgets by not having to fully fund Medicaid.
Thank you. And the last question is, what can our viewers do to advocate on these issues?
There are a number of steps I'd love to have your viewers take. The first is to educate yourselves just like you're doing today. Read, learn, listen, and understand what Medicaid does for you, what Medicaid does for your community, what Medicaid does for your families and your states. The more information you have, the better you're going to be able to communicate. The second, get out there and talk with your friends, your family members, and your people in your community to also help them understand what's at stake here. Almost everyone knows someone who's on Medicaid or has benefited from Medicaid themselves, and we can't risk losing this program. The third thing I'd say, go out and talk to your policymakers. Right now is a perfect time. Members of Congress are actually going to be back in their districts this week, and you can go to town halls or you can set up a meeting with them in their district office and go and talk to them about how you benefit from Medicaid or how you and your friends and your community and family benefit from Medicaid, and make sure that they know that they should not be cutting this very important program.
Thank you. And if you have any questions about this or any other policy issues, please go to the AUCG webpage and look for this week's In Brief. And if you have any questions or comments about this week's Tuesdays with Liz, please leave them in the space below. Thanks again.
Thank you.
And have a great day. And thanks, Mara, for your time. Bye.
Bye-bye.